Chairman. Welcome to the unofficial 2028 Democrat presidential primary right here on stage at the Oversight Committee. Governor Newsom must be seething. The three of you beat him to the stage, but he's a little busy right now defending illegals and defending Antifa, torching what is left of Los Angeles. Governor Walz knows the playbook. In 2020, he rolled out the red carpet for anarchists while Minnesotans watched their neighborhoods burn. You've turned your states into sanctuaries for illegals. You've done more to shield MS-13 than to protect the single mom working 2 jobs in Chicago, Queens, or Minneapolis. And you've worked harder against ICE than with them. So Governor Walz, and boy, does that feel nice to say the word governor, my first question is for you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into what can only be described as a political theater production disguised as a congressional oversight hearing. The video we're analyzing has been circulating widely. It's being framed by some as a preview of the 2028 Democratic presidential race. But really, it's a grilling session featuring Democratic governors and members of Congress, filled with loaded questions, political jabs, and very little room for nuance. Let's break it down objectively, not as partisans, but as people trying to understand what's going on, what it means for public discourse, and what it tells us about the state of American politics.
Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust? It's a yes or no question. Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust?
Pushing my button, Dan.
Okay.
Yes, I believe that's historic.
Okay, would you agree the Holocaust is the most horrific atrocity in human history? Yes or no?
I think the Holocaust ranks amongst them, yes.
Did you know the Nazi Gestapo imprisoned, tortured, and murdered Jews by the hundreds of thousands and committed genocide against the Jews? Did you know that?
I do know they operated as secret.
Did you know ICE has done none of that? Yes or no?
Operated as a secret police force?
No, that's not the question. Did you know that ICE has not committed genocide against anyone?
Yes, I do know that.
Okay. Do you apologize for your disgusting comparison of ICE to the Gestapo, who killed hundreds of thousands of Jews during the Holocaust?
As a history teacher?
Yes or no is the question.
A historical comparison.
You're a governor. You understand what the question is. It's yes or no. Will you apologize for what you said about ICE, comparing them to Gestapo?
To identify who they are when they operate, to not use unmarked.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this governor, or honorable, can't answer the question. Do you believe the Nuremberg trials were a good exercise in holding the Nazis accountable? Yes or no?
I think due process.
Okay, so are you calling for ICE agents to be brought to a tribunal under the threat of death by comparing them to the Gestapo?
Everyone is afforded due process.
What don't you understand about yes or no? Like, what can't you comprehend about yes or no questions? Do you still want to abolish ICE? Do you still want to abolish ICE? Yes or no?
Said I wanted to abolish ICE.
Didn't you march in a rally calling for ICE's abolishment?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Well, according to widespread media reports, you did.
And the media is always correct.
How do you rate Kamala Harris's job as border czar? I want a number between 1 and 10. How was she as border czar?
I wouldn't have a way to measure that. I was not in the administration.
Weren't you her running mate for vice president?
As in the campaign.
And you can't rate her role as border czar on a scale of 1 to 10. Was she great at 10 or was she a 1? Terrible.
I think her proposal that she put forward to make sure we had the bipartisan immigration.
It wasn't bipartisan. Did you ever personally speak with Kamala about Joe Biden's cognitive collapse?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Not as her running mate for vice president. You never once talked to her about the president and why she was nominated instead of him.
No, not that I can recall.
What kind of operation were you guys running over there?
I was more concerned with Donald Trump's cognitive.
Thank God he's
president
and J.D. Vance is vice president and not you. Have you ever served in a combat zone, Governor?
I have not, Congresswoman.
Okay. Are you still friends with school shooters?
I have never been a friend with a school shooter.
Didn't you say you were friends with school shooters on the debate stage?
Oh, Congresswoman.
Yeah. My mom was a teacher. I'm a high school dropout. We can talk about that later. Is bullying okay?
Is bullying okay as a teacher?
Is bullying okay, yes or no? Is it okay to bully somebody?
I think
yes
there's
or
a
no?
time to push back at a bully. So yes, I do think there's a time.
So you think it's okay to bully others?
I think it's okay to bully the bully at times.
Well, you're showing that the Democrat Party is the party of violence. Were you at Tiananmen Square?
Have I been to Tiananmen Square? I have.
Were you at Tiananmen Square?
I have been at Tiananmen Square.
When were you there?
Oh, as I recall, January of 1990.
Okay. What is a woman? What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
Well, that,
What
okay.
what do you want me to say? This is
I want you to say that a woman like me is an adult human female, that men can't become women. You guys are the party of violence, and you're the party erasing women. You don't respect us. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a sexist. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Congresswoman.
Good lady,
thank-
Mr.
back.
Chairman, I would
Recognizes
ask
Mr.
unanimous
Ocasio-Cortez.
First off, let's clear something up. This was not an actual debate or primary event. This was a congressional hearing, and branding it as the unofficial 2028 Democrat presidential primary was clearly rhetorical, meant to mock and delegitimize the governors present, framing them as out of touch or extreme contenders for future office. This kind of language sets the tone for the rest of the session. Partisan, performative, and combative. And while that may play well on social media or in campaign ads, it doesn't lend itself to serious oversight or policy discussions. Next, let's talk about one of the central exchanges, the repeated questioning of a Democratic governor about previous comments comparing ICE to the Gestapo. Now, historically speaking, the Gestapo were Hitler's secret police responsible for surveillance, torture, and genocide. ICE, or Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is a federal agency tasked with immigration enforcement. While criticism of ICE's tactics has been widespread in recent years, equating it to the Gestapo is a heavy and inflammatory comparison. So, the line of questioning here, did ICE commit genocide? Did ICE torture people? Is intended to force the governor into a corner, discredit the original comparison, and demand an apology. And to be fair, these are valid questions to ask when someone makes such a historical analogy. However, the way it's asked in rapid-fire, yes or no format without space for explanation transforms it from a genuine inquiry into a political trap. It's not about educating or understanding. It's about scoring points. Then we get a shift. The hearing turns toward Vice President Kamala Harris and her role as borders are. The governor is asked to rate her performance from 1 to 10. And when he hesitates or tries to contextualize his answer, he's cut off. Let's pause here. In political analysis, open-ended questions allow for nuance. Was the southern border well managed? No. Most would agree there have been serious challenges. But boiling that down to a single number rating is simplistic and not constructive. It's worth noting that Harris's role on immigration was never clearly defined in terms of measurable metrics. Much of it was diplomatic, addressing root causes of migration. Whether she succeeded or failed depends heavily on your policy lens. One of the more eyebrow-raising moments came when the governor was asked about President Biden's cognitive decline and the choice of Kamala Harris as VP. These questions are increasingly common in political discourse, but again, the framing here is more accusatory than investigative. Let's be real, the health and cognitive fitness of presidents is a legitimate topic. But asking whether the governor ever talked to Harris about Biden's cognitive collapse is speculative at best and likely rhetorical. The implication here isn't to understand internal campaign dynamics. It's to paint the administration as disorganized or dishonest. And while it plays well to certain audiences, it adds little to a substantive discussion about policy or leadership. Another moment worth analyzing is the quick-fire question. Have you ever served in a combat zone? Followed immediately by a confrontation over a past comment about being friends with school shooters. This is where things get murky. Military service is honorable, but using its absence as a disqualifier in civilian leadership is a slippery slope, especially since most elected officials have not served. As for the school shooter comment, context matters. If someone said they were friends with a school shooter growing up, perhaps to illustrate the warning signs of violence or the importance of mental health, that's different than endorsing or excusing behavior. But here, the nuance is lost entirely. Then there's a segment on bullying. The governor hesitantly says it can be okay to bully the bully, which quickly gets twisted into Democrats support violence. That's a stretch, to put it mildly. From a rhetorical perspective, this is called reframing, taking a defensive statement and twisting it into an offensive position. While it's clever debating, it's not honest analysis. Bullying is a serious issue, especially in schools. But the deeper issue here is, are we discussing it to solve a problem or just to land a political punch? And finally, what is a woman? It's a question that's become politically loaded in recent years, and once again, it's used here not to seek clarity, but to provoke. The governor's hesitation is used as evidence that Democrats are erasing women and that they don't respect biological reality. But again, these are complex issues involving biology, gender identity, civil rights, and personal dignity. They can't and shouldn't be reduced to a single, shouted definition. In my view, we do ourselves a disservice when we treat questions like this as traps instead of as starting points for serious discussion. So, what do we make of all this? This hearing wasn't really about governance. It wasn't about finding truth or developing solutions. It was about spectacle, about one side painting the other as dangerous, incompetent, or un-American. That's not new in politics, and it's not limited to one party. But it's a trend that's becoming more and more normalized. As voters, as citizens, and as consumers of political media, we have to be willing to separate performance from policy. We have to be willing to dig deeper, ask better questions, and refuse to accept sound bites as substance. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Drop a comment below. What did you think of this hearing? Do you think this kind of political grilling serves the public interest, or is it just more partisan theater? I'm American Interest, and I'll see you next time, where we cut through the noise and get to the facts.